The most influential artists of the decade. The moment the winner was announced, it felt like time itself froze. Beating out industry giants like Blackpink's Jennie, the legendary IU, and even his own BTS brother Jimin, Jungkook's victory didn't just win him an award. It made history, but this wasn't just about a trophy. This was a culmination of years of silent dedication, of nights spent in studios when the world was asleep, of self-doubt hidden behind smiles, of passion poured into every note, every lyric, every breath he sang. And what truly shocked the world wasn't just that Jungkook won, but how he got there. The shocking moment the winner was announced, the atmosphere at the 2025 Asia Music Excellence Awards was electrifying. Held at Seoul's prestigious Olympic Hall, thousands of fans screamed, cried, and held their breath in anticipation. Global live streams peaked at record-breaking numbers. Comment sections flooded with predictions. The tension was unbearable. He had beaten three of the most powerful solo acts in South Korea and Asia. Jennie, the fashion-forward queen of K-pop whose solo track, Venomous, had topped global charts. IU, the nation's sweetheart and ballad powerhouse with a career spanning over a decade. Jimin, his brother-in-arms, whose solo artistry brought a completely different emotional world to ARMY. Social media exploded. Within minutes, the hashtag Jungkook Soloist of the Year trended in over 72 countries. His speech was shared, translated, and quoted by artists, critics, and fans alike. But why was this win so emotional? Why did it feel so right, yet so unexpected? The answer lies in the decade-long journey of a boy who debuted at 15 and never stopped growing. Before the world called him Soloist of the Year, the world knew him as BTS's Golden Magne. A boy with eyes full of dreams, a voice that silenced rooms, and a heart that beat louder than applause. Jungkook didn't become a solo legend overnight. His victory in 2025 was the result of a journey that began in 2013 when he stepped onto the stage for the first time with BTS, shy, uncertain, but burning with potential. At only 15, he was the youngest of them all. He looked up to his six youngs like brothers, like mentors, like his world. And through the chaos, fame, and pressure that came with being in the world's biggest boy band, Jungkook learned to evolve, to listen, to feel, to lead. But behind that polished image and those flawless performances was a young man with fears no one saw, not even sometimes his closest friends. I was scared to stand alone. In multiple interviews before his solo debut, Jungkook had often admitted, "I never thought I would go solo." He didn't say it because he lacked ambition. He said it because his heart was with BTS. The idea of stepping outside that comfort zone, of being alone on stage, alone in interviews, alone on album covers, terrified him. But life had other plans. The answer came in the form of his 2024 debut album, Golden. A project that wasn't just music, it was a confession. From upbeat tracks like Seven to heartbreaking melodies like Standing Next to You, the album peeled back layers Jungkook had hidden for years. It wasn't just sonically rich, it was emotionally raw. Critics doubted. The world listened. When Golden was released, not everyone believed Jungkook could match the success of his groupmates or rivals like Jennie or IU. Some said his voice was too clean, too pop, or too safe. But Jungkook did what he always does. He let the music speak for itself. Within hours, Golden hit #1 on the Billboard 200. His single Standing Next to You broke streaming records in over 40 countries. Music critics who once dismissed him wrote reviews calling the album a masterpiece of vulnerability and sonic craftsmanship. He was no longer just the main vocalist of BTS. He was Jungkook, a force to be reckoned with. The unseen battles behind the spotlight. Even as his fame grew, Jungkook kept his pain private. In a heartfelt Weverse Live, he once shared, "I practice until my voice gives out. Sometimes I sleep in studio. It's not because someone asks me to, it's because I don't want to disappoint anyone, especially myself." Those words stuck with fans. Because behind the platinum albums and perfect visuals, there was a man who still questioned if he was good enough. And perhaps that's what made his soloist of the year win even more beautiful. It wasn't just about talent. It was about growth, about facing fears, about proving, not to the world, but to himself that he could do it. And now, standing on that glittering stage, holding the golden award, his tears weren't just from joy, they were from release, relief, redemption. This was a rare moment when the entire music world paused and applauded. Global media coverage, a win for artistry over hype. Major outlets like Billboard, Rolling Stone, and NME ran headlines that praised Jungkook's win not just as a fan-favorite moment, but as a victory for sincerity in pop. Jungkook's 2025 win was not a surprise. It was a culmination. Wrote a senior music editor at Variety. In an era driven by virality, Jungkook focused on vocals, performance, and connection. And it paid off. CNN Korea broadcast a special segment highlighting his musical journey from BTS's youngest member to a soloist who reshaped the industry. Even American late-night talk shows featured clips from the awards show, noting how Jungkook has crossed every barrier: cultural, linguistic, emotional. The headlines weren't just celebratory. They were respectful, because everyone saw what this moment truly meant. Fan reactions. We grew up with him while media buzzed. Armies around the globe were overwhelmed with emotion. For many, this wasn't just their idol's win. It felt personal. One fan from Brazil tweeted, "I remember voting for Jungkook in 2016 as the cutest magne. Now I'm watching him win Soloist of the Year. I'm subbing." We watched him grow up. Another fan from the Philippines posted a video of her crying during his acceptance speech with the caption, "This is for every time he doubted himself. Jungkook, we always believed in you." In South Korea, fans created massive digital banners and LED billboards that flashed congratulations across Seoul, Busan, and Incheon. Jungkook's childhood hometown in Bukgu saw cafes giving out free drinks in celebration. ARMY turned the moment into a movement. A celebration of 10 years of loyalty, 10 years of love, 10 years of watching a boy become a man and now a legend. How Jennie, IU, and Jimin responded while fans were celebrating. Many eyes were on the three iconic artists Jungkook had beaten: Jennie, IU, and Jimin. And what happened next stunned everyone. Jennie, who had been enjoying a spectacular solo run herself, posted on her Instagram story just hours later with a picture of Jungkook holding his award, captioned, "A real artist. Congratulations, JK. You earned this." She also liked several ARMY posts, signaling no bitterness, only respect to IU. The veteran vocalist, known for her grace, went a step further. In an interview the next morning, she said, "Jungkook's album made me cry. I was honored to be nominated beside him. He deserves every ounce of love he's getting." Her comment went viral, proving that when real artists witness greatness, they embrace it. But the most emotional reaction came from Jimin. BTS fans know the bond between Jungkook and Jimin is deep, like brothers. So when Jimin posted a short video later that night, watching the awards show replay while cheering and crying, ARMYs couldn't stop crying with him. "You made me proud, Jungkook. You did it." His voice cracked at the end, and fans could hear a quiet sniffle before he turned the camera off. It wasn't a competition to them. It was love. Even Jungkook was shocked by the reactions later in a Weverse post that would break ARMY hearts all over again. Jungkook wrote, "I didn't think I'd cry that much. Thank you for staying with me. Thank you for listening. And thank you for seeing me." His humility reminded everyone why they loved him. Because even after all the applause, all the awards, and all the milestones, he never once stopped being the sincere boy who only ever wanted to make music that touched souls. He admitted that in the early days of writing Golden, he rewrote lyrics over and over again. Not because the lines weren't poetic, but because they didn't feel true. "I kept asking, would this sound better with Jin's harmony? Should I sing this part like Jimin would? And then I realized I needed to stop writing as if they were still beside me. I had to be just Jungkook." That was the turning point. And also, the beginning of the most intense creative period of his life, locked in the studio for 47 night sits, now legendary among HYB staff. Jungkook practically lived in his studio for over a month and a half. Producers revealed he would come in at 2 a.m. and leave at sunrise. Often, he'd skip meals, sleeping on the studio couch. He didn't allow anyone into the room unless they were part of the sound team. The walls were covered with scribbled lyrics, voice notes, and emotional reminders. On one wall, a single sentence stood out, written in thick black marker. "Do It Like This is the last album you'll ever make." That was the mindset. Every beat, every breath, every chorus had to come from a place of nothing but raw truth. He wasn't trying to impress anymore. He was trying to connect. Vocal strain, creative blocks, and the edge of burnout. As the album neared its final production phase, Jungkook began facing intense vocal strain. Sources close to the team said he was told by doctors to rest his voice for several days, but he refused. "It's not about hitting the perfect note," he told one producer. "It's about feeling every word like I'm living it." There were also weeks of frustration. He scrapped 2 entire songs from the album. One of them, later revealed to be titled Ghost Light, was reportedly his favorite, but he felt it was too safe. Even J-Hope, who visited the studio during a break from military service, told Jungkook, "You're doing too much. You don't have to prove anything." But Jungkook didn't see it that way, because for him, this was the moment, the one chance to prove that he was more than a pop idol, that he was an artist. The final track, One Take. One Tear, the last song he recorded for the album, Standing Next to You, was done in a single take. He insisted on singing it at 3:47 a.m. after hours of emotional writing. When he finished, he didn't speak. He just sat down and cried. The recording was so raw that even the engineers hesitated to touch it. "Don't fix it," Jungkook said. "Let them hear me breathe." That breath, that pain, that soul, carried through the track and into the hearts of millions. And when the album finally dropped, fans didn't just hear his voice, they felt his story. What it really took to win that award. So, when Jungkook stood on the stage, clutching the Soloist of the Year award in his shaking hands, it wasn't just about winning over IU, Jennie, or Jimin. It was about overcoming himself. The boy who once hid behind his youngs. The artist who doubted if his voice was enough. The man who gave everything to be seen for who he truly is. He finally saw his own reflection and accepted it. And maybe that's the real prize. One award, one name, one moment that sent shockwaves not just through fandoms, but across the entire music industry. Jungkook's triumph as Soloist of the Year 2025 was more than a personal achievement. It became a cultural shift. And everyone felt it. From Seoul to New York, from Tokyo to Sao Paulo, industry insiders, musicians, producers, and trainees all began asking the same question. Is this the new blueprint for success? Because Jungkook didn't just win, he redefined what it means to be a solo artist in a post-group world. From K-pop star to global solo standard. For years, K-pop solo careers were often seen as extensions of group identities, side projects, or temporary ventures while groups took breaks. But Jungkook shattered that mold. His solo work wasn't a break from BTS. It was a bold evolution of everything he had learned, felt, and created. International journalists praised him not only for breaking records, but for breaking barriers. Language was never an obstacle. Cultural differences faded in the presence of raw emotion. Musical genres blended like brush strokes on a canvas. Pop, R&B, funk, ballad, and soul. In interviews following the awards, American producer Mike Dean, who briefly consulted during Golden, said, "Jungkook is no longer just a K-pop artist. He's a global musician, period." That statement went viral because it wasn't just about identity anymore, it was about impact. Idols began rethinking their paths following Jungkook's success. A noticeable shift began inside Korea's top entertainment agencies. Trainees and idols, even veterans, started looking inward. Jungkook didn't chase trends. One fourth-gen idol admitted in a radio interview. He chased meaning. And that's what I want now, too. For years, the idol system trained artists to follow choreography, visual concepts, and tightly scripted comebacks. Jungkook, however, chose emotional transparency over formula, authenticity over perfection. That shift started changing the training rooms of HYB, SM, JYP, and YG. Agencies began encouraging more self-produced content, more songwriting, more individual exploration. In a way, Jungkook wasn't just the soloist of the year. He became the artist of a generation. The numbers tell their own story. Within weeks of the awards ceremony, Jungkook's streaming numbers surged again, not because of new releases, but because people revisited his entire discography with fresh ears. Golden returned to the top 10 of the Billboard 200. Standing Next to You re-entered global Spotify charts. YouTube fan edits titled, "How Jungkook Changed Everything," racked up millions of views in days. But more importantly, other artists began referencing him. Newcomers cited Jungkook in interviews. Global pop stars reached out for collaborations. Even fashion houses started calling his style the new standard for luxury streetwear influence. In a time where virality often trumps substance, Jungkook reminded the world that genuine storytelling still wins hearts. What Jungkook himself said about this responsibility, when asked in a post-win interview how he felt about his influence, Jungkook paused. Then he said something that stunned even the host. "I'm not here to be a trend. I just want to be a voice that someone hears when they feel alone." That humility, even after winning the most prestigious solo award of the year, showed that Jungkook hadn't changed at his core, but the world around him had, and it was changing because of him. The future of K-pop looks different now. K-pop has always been about pushing boundaries. But after Jungkook's win, a new wave began forming. One rooted in emotional truth, where once there were questions like, can a soloist succeed without a viral TikTok trend? Will international fans support Korean language-only albums? Can someone known for visuals be taken seriously as a musical artist? Jungkook answered all those questions without even trying to, and now new answers are emerging. Artists are daring to be vulnerable. Agencies are investing in artistry, not just image, and fans are demanding depth, not just dance, because Jungkook showed them it's possible.